Hey there guys, welcome back to ARTFX Studios Tutorial Tuesday about glitch hop. This week I want to continue working on that track, and I did do some things in the past week, and I'll show you what I did. Right here I've got the main drums, which are playing nothing more than this. Now as you can hear, I added the clap in there. I'm not too sure how I'm gonna use this, if I'm gonna use this in this particular part of the intro, but I've also got this part. Sort of like a jazzy kind of thing, because you're doing that upbeat kind of rhythm, which might be cool for the build-up section of the track. I've also got that hi-hat, drum rack, and also this part. So these two together do that kind of thing, and on this faster part you get something like this. And that sounds really damn good. If you take a look at the groove pool, you might think, where is the groove in here? What I did is I took out the groove, and I want to explain to you why I did that. I recently finished my newest EP, which is gonna be released soon, and on that EP I worked a lot with chopping up bass sounds. I didn't really do this too much when I started working on this season, but now I know how important that chopping up of bass sounds is for me to create a good track. So there's one downside. When you're chopping up an audio clip in the arrangement view right here, there's no way you can apply the groove template that you've got in your groove pool to the chops that you've created on the arrangement. Now that's pretty difficult to work with, because you might have a groove on your drums, and as soon as you commit your groove, the hits are going to be shuffled around a little bit, and they most likely won't fall exactly on a grid line. Even when you zoom in a lot, there's a big chance that the hits of the drum loop that you've used the groove on are not going to align to some of the grid lines. So to arrange a bass line out of chops from an audio clip, you'll have to zoom in a lot and manually adjust these chops so that they fall exactly in time with the groove. Now when the swing hits in that groove drum loop fall exactly on a grid line, when you've zoomed in a lot, like this for instance, you can see the more you zoom in, the more grid lines you get. So eventually, the more you zoom in, the closer you're going to get to a particular grid line. So it is still possible to align those chops with the drums, but it's going to require a lot of zooming and a lot of, just a lot of things that I don't want to do. So instead, I take out the entire groove template from the groove pool, and I can actually close that groove pool down, because I'm not going to use it anymore in this entire track. And what I've done is I've manually added swing. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to manually add swing? Now, I'm going to show you. Right now, our grid is made up of 4 beats, and every beat is divided into 4 sections. So what we get is 1/16 notes. So if I place one here, and one here, and one here, and one here, and let's duplicate this entire thing. So now I've got 8 notes, and these are basically 8 1/16 notes, but they are playing in a 1/8 rhythm. So that sounds like that. So let's make that grid lines a little bit more narrow, like that. So now I can see that every 1/16 note is now divided into 4 grid lines. The 16th notes that you're seeing right now are all odd numbered 1/16th notes. This is 1/16th, this is the 3rd 16th, this is the 5th 16th, and so on. So now to add that artificial swing, you are going to shift all the even 16th notes, so not these, but these, all these even ones, the 2nd 16th, the 4th 16th, and so on, and you're going to shift those 1/64th of a measure to the right. Now, that might all sound a little bit like maths to you, but what I'm saying basically is nothing more than just shifting these one grid line. So as you can see, I've now took them away from this grid line that's right here. And if I make the grid a little bit bigger again, you can see here is my grid line, and it's now basically shifted 1/4 of a 1/16th note to the right, and that creates artificial swing. So when I now play this particular part, you can hear that it swings. So I'm gonna do that for every single MIDI note in this track, and also for audio clips. So the same thing is going on the arrangement grid lines, because when I zoom in, you can see now I've got these grid lines, so I can just zoom in and align my bass chops to that grid line, and I don't have to worry about the groove so much. For some people, they might think, that's a little bit too complicated for me to do. If you're making music that doesn't really involves a lot of chopping up of audio, then you don't really need to do this. You can just use a groove. But for me, my tracks are quite complicated, and I like to have at least that much of control that I need to make this work, and I don't want to, turn off snapping and have to manually just each single hit, which is going to be a pain in the ass, because right now, this MIDI note is shifted to the right. I know that. I can see that. So if I need another one of these notes, I don't need to zoom in again. I can just control, click, and drag this one, and it's going to save the position. So you only need to zoom in once to make that swinged note, and then you can just, copy that note as soon as you need another one. So yeah, that's basically what I did. I did that for all the things in the track except the ones in this group track, which are right now going to be pretty static, but I'm gonna add that groove as soon as I'm gonna use those. Let's go on. Right here, I've got my group. Well, the group is, really, really simple. It's still the same. The full group sounds like this. So it's really simple. I've got a brass kind of sound coming from my Unity synth. It's playing some chords, and those chords are basically coming from the chord progression that I made in earlier videos. It's nothing too difficult, actually. It's pretty simple. Those are basically followed by a bass line. Now, this is a really simple electric bass patch coming from the instrument folder in Ableton Live. So I haven't really done too much to it. We could add some shaping. Might be good. Give it a little bit more grit. Then right here, the phaser clavinet kicks in, which also comes from the Unity. And at the bottom, I've got a funk guitar, which is basically just playing a G note every... What is it? Oh, you can see. It just plays a G note on the offbeat. And that G note, it doesn't really do that much. I mean, it just adds a little bit more, rhythm to this particular intro. Because without it, it sounds like this. It sounds good, but with that funky guitar, even though it's just a small little hit every now and then. it instantly makes it sound more funky, and that's what I need. So that's everything for this group track. Then I've got my rising synth right here. It's just a really simple operator synth. Nothing too difficult. I mean, a little bit of FM synthesis going on. Not too much, just to slightly change the sound over time the more we go up in pitch. And that's just the only thing that happens with that synth. I can show you how it sounds. It's really low in volume. Next to that, I also added a acoustic drum loop, and I did this because I just wanted to see how this intro sounds with an acoustic drum loop. So I searched and found a acoustic drum loop recorded at 110 BPM. That drum loop sounds like this. Now that is nothing like the drum loop I'm looking for, but it sort of like gives me a feeling of how it would sound with an acoustic drum kit. So with that acoustic drum kit, it sounds actually like this. And when I hear that, I instantly think, yes, I'm gonna add acoustic drums. So that brings me to the subject of today's video. I'm gonna make an acoustic drum loop that's gonna fit this particular track or this intro, and I am gonna take out that loop that I already loaded in, and I've set up a MIDI track right here with a MIDI clip already in there. I've got some notes. You can see it's really simple. You can see all the even numbered 16th notes are shifted to the right, as I told you a moment ago, and there are no samples loaded up in here. So in my file browser right here, you can see I've got a folder called Acoustic Kits. Now, this folder contains about 9 gigabytes of acoustic sounding drum hits. And I get a lot of people asking where to get acoustic sounding drum kits. Well, from this video on, I don't want anybody asking for acoustic drum hits anymore. This folder contains a lot of different packs, and I got all these packs from a blog post on a website. So I'm actually gonna include that blog post, a link to the blog post, in the description of this video, so you can go there and download all these individual packs. Now, it's gonna take a long time to download, and you also need to basically extract the samples from the zip files one by one. So it's gonna take a little bit of a long time to export everything, but you know, it's good to have kits like these because they just sound really great. So I've already looked around a little bit through these particular packs, and I really like some of the Aircon's organized samples. Let's find a solid acoustic kick drum. So let's load up a drum rack in this particular one, and let's drag in some samples. I'm gonna take this one as the main kick. I think that sounds pretty okay. I like that one. I can also see how it looks with this one. You see, that's way too much. You know, I don't want a big drum hit for this particular part. That sounds much better. Let's find a good solid snare drum. think something like that sounds pretty good. Let's put that in D1 because that is the note I've used for the snare. Let's see how that sounds. Now, one thing I noticed is that the kick is much softer in volume than the snare hit, so I'm gonna bring that volume of the kick up a little bit. That's too much. That sounds pretty okay. Let's take. Do I need? Let's take a ride. And let's see which note I used. A1. So on A1, I'm going to add that ride. The ride is going to be a little bit quieter. That sounds good. And I'm gonna place that right bell in G sharp 1, which is these offbeat notes right there. And now our loop sounds like. One thing I like to do though is on the right bell, take down the release a little bit. Let's make these a little bit longer. I'm not too happy with the sound of the ride. Maybe a different one. Sounds too low in pitch. That sounds higher. I don't know. Still not how I want it. That one sounds much higher. That sounds better. I'm also gonna take the release of this one down a little bit. So let's see how that sounds with my group. So I actually really like that. I am, however, gonna make some changes. So I like that. I'm also gonna add some kind of a fill with the snare, I think. Now this is one of these swinged notes again, so shift it a little bit to the right. Let's see how that sounds. And that sounds cool. Then I'm gonna duplicate this particular one. And I'm going to take out the first kick drum. So what I've now done is I actually created a little bit of a variation on that first part, where I leave out the hi-hat, or the ride I mean, and the kick drum. So you basically just only hear the impact of the bass guitar, and that gives it a little bit more of a, well, different sounding thing. Let's keep that right in there. I think that sounds better. Yeah, I like that. Let's add a little bit of compression to this, because I think it sounds a little bit too weak. I'm gonna add a little bit of compression. Let's add a long attack. Short release. Bring the threshold down a bit. Let's bring up the makeup gain. So that layered with our main drums. Now I like the sound of the acoustic drums a lot, but I want to keep that control over these ones, so that sounds much better. So right here, I'm going to take out everything from this, I think. Yes. And right here, I want the main drums to kick in, so I can delete these. And let's see. And I can extend this particular part. And right here, I'm going to duplicate this. And now I need to adjust this clip a little bit. I don't want any snares in here, I think. I don't need these, don't need those, don't need those, don't need these. Let's add these offbeat rights as well. And then right here, we're gonna do that. I'm also gonna add that kick drum to every first one, so like that. I'm pretty happy with this. Let's add in a little bit of swing to the end right here. Oh, do it like that. These ones need to be shifted to the right a little bit, like that. And I'm going to play around a little bit with the snares. Let's make their volume come up slightly. Like that. Okay, that sounds pretty okay. I think I'm pretty happy with the way this sounds right now. I've got my percussion hits right here. I'm gonna make these a little bit quieter in volume, but they're still gonna work with this one. I want the normal hi-hats to kick in on the second part of this particular phrase. And let's extend them to there. Then in this one, these hits are going to come in. Yes, that's about right. So I can turn that track on as well. And that's it for today's video, and it sounds a little bit like this. So that's about it for this week's video. As you can see how when I took away that snare hit in this part, it definitely made it sound better. I'm not totally happy yet about the way the acoustic drums and the normal drums sound together, so I most likely will EQ a little bit on that. Just try to make it work. But I really think we've got a pretty solid build up right now. Next week I'm gonna continue. I'm probably gonna do some more stuff to the build up section right here. I'm thinking about doing something with a vocal. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with the vocal, but I'm definitely gonna do that next week. And the week after that, I'm gonna start the drop section. I hope you enjoyed this video. All of the patches that I create in these videos are available at the ARTFX Studios website for all VIP members. So as a VIP member, you can get access to these downloads. You also get access to a lot of recs, to some additional articles. You get access to a feedback forum for VIP members. where VIP members can request in-depth feedback on their music. If you have any questions regarding this video, please tweet them to @ARTFX STUDIOS or come to my website. I really appreciate it if you post your questions on my forum, because on Twitter I'm limited to a particular amount of characters, and on my forum I can do whatever I want. You know, if I need to include some screenshots to make everything clear, I can do that. If you like these videos, then please subscribe to this channel to keep updated with all the latest videos. There's going to be a lot more tutorials coming up in this particular year, and I hope you like this video, and I'll see you back upcoming Tuesday, Saturday, maybe sooner, I don't know. See ya. Peace.